Jaire Alexander, Sarah, caught a stray or two on social media following his Ravens debut. One that we wanted to discuss further and then kind of open up the conversation to just looking at his first game as a Raven and really as a whole, came from Rodney Harrison. He's on the Sunday Night Football telecast, typically post-game coverage at the set with Tony Dungy, Jack Collingsworth, and he's a two-time Super Bowl champion. Sarah, this guy is a stud, a former New England Patriot, was very outspoken, not only on Sunday night post-game about John Harbaugh and his staff, but also, again, Jaire Alexander, who I think kind of to many folks' surprise, after not practicing until a few days leading up to week 1 since August 9th, not only did he play, but he played a lot more than I would have thought. And so we'll get into his game as a whole, but it's set up here by Rodney Harrison.
Have to be accountable.
Yeah.
I talked to Jaire Alexander. He said, I'm ready to play. I'm going to play 20, 25 plays. That's half. You got to be ready. When your name is called, you have to be ready. And if you don't have post safety help, what are you doing playing outside technique, giving up the inside? It's those little things, but that comes from an experienced defensive coordinator. You know what I mean? So
details,
the small details, and that's the difference between winning a championship and just being an MVP and not winning a championship.
And Sarah, I thought our friend Cole Jackson summarized it well in the X space. He said Jaire gave up a 32-yard man coverage rep on a corner route to Josh Palmer to get the Bills into field goal range. That's what you just heard Rodney refer to there in that clip. And then the very next play, as we discussed at length on the postgame show, he's 10 yards off man against Keon Coleman, Bills' talented second-year wide receiver, and has zero break on a bended in route, and he shoelace tackles him instead of letting him score, which obviously was counterintuitive from a clock management standpoint, Sarah, and allowed the Bills to do what they do and ultimately allowed a veteran who was just signed to the practice squad on a whim in Matt Prater to kick the game's winning field goal.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jaire Alexander did not have the debut that I think any of us had expected. I think Chidobe Awuzie had a better game. And Cole and Rodney pointed out some of those big plays for sure. I mean, you're in man coverage, you give up a 32-yarder, and then it just seemed like he wasn't making plays left and right. And then finally, when you don't want him to make a play, he gets that shoestring tackle. Jaire Alexander was asked after the game, like, what do you think the biggest problem was? And on defense, and here was his answer.
Biggest problem? I mean, I wouldn't say it was a problem, man. I mean, we're playing against a good team, a good quarterback. That was the problem. So, I mean, it's week 1, so we just got to learn from it.
Karita Parks, Bowie TV on that in terms of the post-game sound there, but addressed it head on, Sarah. Ultimately, this is a player that, as we know, a month removed from a knee drain, less than a year removed from a PCL tear. You want to give him a little bit of grace, but you also heard Rodney there, right? Almost kind of calling out a little bit of maybe not the want, but like the preparation or just in terms of the technique there with Jaire Alexander. Played a lot. I'm going to pull up Jeff Zaribek's screenshot of the snap count because I'm curious just to see where he ended up. But again, played a lot more than I would have thought given his limited availability throughout the summer, Sarah.
Yeah, no, I was curious what that snap count is also.
I got it right here.
Okay.
It's 33 on defense. That's 39%. And let's just, for comparison purposes, pull up Cheeto's. Cheeto played 79% of the snap count share there, defensively speaking.
So it seemed like Alexander was out there a third of the time on defense, and Cheeto was out there 2/3. Actually, wouldn't have been surprised by that. Like if the game plan going in, knowing that he practiced the whole week going into it, and that you could kind of ease him in. So like 1/3 versus 2/3 actually seems pretty reasonable. Maybe once you saw how.
Sorry.
I was saying maybe once you started to see how poor he was playing, then you could maybe have given him less snaps. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say on our end, Bob, because we don't know his health status. All we know is when he's at practice, we don't know how conservative they're being. We don't know how well he feels like he knows the defense, all that kind of stuff. So going into it, yeah, 1/3 to 2/3 sounds great. But once he's like not playing well, then you might be like, okay, well, Cheeto's playing better, so maybe we like give him more snaps. What were you gonna say?
Just that I was a little bit surprised, even with like the 30% share, just because of, or like a quarter. What did we say? What'd you say it was? A third?
1/3 to 2/3.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I just based on up until like a week ago, up until the start of this past week, leading into week 1, I know in my mind I was like, man, he seems like a total long shot, just given the lack of participation and the knee drain and knowing the PCL severity and knowing how careful they wanted to be with him ramping up. But then again, if you read the tea leaves with some of the things that John Harbaugh was sharing throughout his press conferences in the weeks that led up to it, clearly Jaire was breathing down his neck. I mean, the guy was chomping at the bit to get out there. He wanted to be out there, and all credit to him for having that competitive spirit. But I think it does come back to like that, what we were sort of forecasting going into week 1, Sarah, which was like protecting the player from himself and allowing for that ramp up period to happen. I'm not saying that they made a premature decision, but some of the play does suggest that he's going to need a little bit more ramp up here to get himself fully healthy, if indeed he isn't fully ramped up yet.
Yeah, and I just going back to his soundbite that we just played there, where they asked him what the biggest problem was, and he was like, well, it's that they have a really good offense and that it's Josh Allen and that it's week 1. It's okay. And I think that's like a reasonable response. But like after we just read through all those super chats, you kind of get a feel for where fans are at. And, you know, people are saying, I'm going to become a casual. I can't do this. And so it's like Jaire Alexander, new to the scene, saying, hey, it's only week 1. And that's one of the best offenses in the league, right up there with our offense. He's like, it's going to be okay. That's fair. But it's also fair for people saying, hey, I got to become a casual, because we've been hearing this broken record for years now. And it's tough to see people watch what we all feel like is a Super Bowl caliber roster. And maybe it's not a Super Bowl caliber defense. Maybe we gave too much credit to it with all these first rounders out there. Maybe it's not. But it's just so tough to continue to see Lamar Jackson, the talent that he is. And it just feels like wasted opportunities year in, year out. And so fair from Jaire Alexander's point of view, but also there's a different point of view in Baltimore that precedes him coming here.
Yeah, it's probably a good like point to just kind of step back for a half second and realize that we could have just seen a preview of the AFC Championship game.
Yes.
In
And you know what?
January.
Yeah, we kind of skipped over this. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick, Bobby. Here's what's crazy. After all the stats that we just went through, and also after knowing that the Buffalo Bills going forward have the 30th ranked strength of schedule, Bobby, it's the easiest in the AFC, the easiest. Knowing all of that, check out on this next slide, still ESPN Analytics chances to win the AFC, despite that cakewalk of a schedule that the Bills have, and despite winning this head-to-head matchup, ESPN Analytics still has the Ravens with the best chances to win the AFC at 24%, the Bills 21, Chargers 13, Chiefs 10, Broncos 6, Colts 6. So that's what we got to like. That's what we got. Maybe this is the AFC Championship preview again. And maybe the Ravens do end up still winning the AFC. If ESPN Analytics is correct, then maybe they can still find a way. Hey, listen, if the Bills can find a way with a 0.9% win probability with just less than 5 minutes left, if they can find a way, the Ravens can also find a way, but it has to start now. It has to start with Cleveland. It has to continue with Detroit, and it has to continue with the Chiefs. If you can go on a 3-game win streak, then okay, you're feeling good again. You can see why these numbers are what they are. But it's crazy to me that the analytics still say the Ravens have the best chance to win the conference.
You know who found a way to kind of face the music, I guess, if you will, post game is the King himself, who was en route to really a signature performance, Sarah, as he fumbled the football in the fourth quarter, which really was a game-defining, momentum-shifting setback for the Ravens that they were not able to ultimately overcome. It overshadows, it does, the fact that Derrick had one of his classic vintage performances, 18 carries, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, a long of 49, was breaking records, right, in terms of all-time rushing touchdowns, surpassing the great and Hall of Famer Jim Brown. He had a catch as well for 13 yards, all kinds of yards after contact. But the fourth quarter fumble, which was just inexplicable, an excruciating blow, did not stop him from meeting with reporters post-game. This was in a scrum, courtesy of ESPN's Jamison Hensley, shared from his Twitter account.
Well, I mean, I got to take care of the ball. Told my teammates at the game, put the boss on me. I own it like a man. We emphasized taking care of the ball since we got back. It's a big emphasis, especially in our room and running back, taking care of the football, keeping it high and tight. Not like a days ago, and they made a play, but I put this boss on me. I take care of the ball. I feel like it could be a different situation. But as far as offense, we just got to execute, and we didn't do as well, at the end. So we just got to look at the film and correct it.
I really respect Bobby, him showing up. This is what we talked about all offseason, really. Like, if you have a big impact on the end of the game, like, you should face the media, whether it's a positive impact or a negative impact. And Derrick Henry isn't the sole reason why the Ravens lost, but it certainly, things changed on that fumble big time. Things changed big time. And so it certainly had an impact. And so we just talked about it. Like it doesn't matter who the player is. If you have that type of impact, you got to go and answer for it so your teammates aren't doing it for you. And so I really respect that from King Henry, showing leadership. He goes to his teammates and says, hey, go ahead and put the loss on me. Even though, Bobby, there's no way they even have a lead like that without him. What was his final rushing yards? Did he hit 200?
No, but he very well could have. Had that drive continued, he very well could have. 169, so 31 off from a 200 burger.
169. I mean, he just kept breaking through, even when they were, stacking the box with 8+ defenders. And that's what is really so just confusing. It's like, how is it? We saw the Bills stacking the box early throughout the entire game. And the offensive line and Derrick Henry kept breaking through. Like, there were holes there for Derrick Henry. Some he just ran over people, and other times the offensive line opened holes for him. So how that just stopped in the fourth quarter is beyond me. But nonetheless, if everybody does what Derrick Henry does and look themselves in the mirror and say, no, it wasn't that guy or that guy, it was me. That's the best way you solve problems, is everybody look at themselves in the mirror and point the finger back at them rather than somebody else. And that's really the best way forward at this point. And Derrick Henry is showing leadership by doing that himself.